Minecraft. Minecraft.
Yippee.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bug of the Week. My name is Bradon, and I'm super excited to talk this week about Silverfish, or Zygentoma. That's right, Silverfish from Minecraft. I'm sure you all recognize that name. And yeah, those little guys from Minecraft are based off of a real insect, which are silverfish. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're going to talk about them today, and I think you guys will learn to love them as well. So yeah, silverfish are one of the more basal insect orders, meaning they're more ancestral, and they're up there with Archaeognatha, are the only one that is more ancestral than the Zygentoma. I talked about Archaeognatha last week, so definitely go check that one out if you need to get caught up. But yeah, this week we're talking about silverfish, and they're really cool. So speaking of Archaeognatha and Zygentoma actually used to be within one order called Thysanura, but then they were found to actually be convergently evolved. So the Thysanura and the Archaeognatha actually split apart and convergently evolved since then, and so they were made into their own separate orders now. So the name Zygentoma actually is derived from two Greek words, zygon meaning bridge, and entoma meaning cut into. This is basically the idea that Zygentoma were the bridge between the Pterygoda and the Apterygoda, which are the two groups of winged versus the basal non-winged insects. Okay, so first of all, let's get their anatomy and morphology out of the way. So the silverfish are quite unique looking. You know, at first glance, they might look similar to the Archaeognatha that I talked about last week, but I'll tell you about some clear distinctions between them. But first off, they have a metallic kind of scaled appearance. That's why they're called silverfish. So some interesting anatomy about the Zygentoma are their antennae. So they have these long thread-like antennae, which are similar to the Archaeognatha, but the Zygentoma also have these three appendages coming off the end of the abdomen. So this factor is very diagnostic of the silverfish. So if you notice, they've got three appendages, and they are all of equal length. So each one is just as long as the next one. And the two going off the side are going to be the cerci. They're essentially sensory structures. So they have little hairs called setae on them that they use to pick up airborne and substrate-borne vibrations. And that one in the middle is called a medial filament or a terminal appendage. They have a couple different names, but it's basically another sensory structure. So if you remember from last week, the Archaeognatha, they also have three terminal appendages, two cerci and a filament, but the key here is that their filament, their middle one, was longer than the two cerci. So that's different from silverfish because the silverfish have three appendages of equal length. So that's one important factor. Another important factor is their head. So the silverfish have a wide, kind of flattened head, and their eyes are far apart. They have small eyes that are oftentimes spaced apart, giving them a sort of forehead appearance. If you compare that to the Archaeognatha have eyes that join in the middle. The eyes bridge the entire width of the head, and they meet in the middle, whereas Zygentoma do not have that. So yeah, Zygentoma are really cool. They can come in brown, gray, silver, metallic, bronzy kind of color, camouflage, so like multiple colors, and they can also have these little whiskers, these little hairs on their heads that make them look like they have little mustaches. So they're very cool and very unique looking for sure. So the silverfish are typically 8 to 10 millimeters in length, but some larger ones can even reach up to 15 millimeters in length. So pretty small by bug standards, but definitely larger than the more basal insects that we've been talking about previously. So much like Archaeognatha, and part of the reason they were originally grouped together is that Zygentoma also are ametabolous, and they also don't have wings like Archaeognatha. So Zygentoma are one of the only two insect orders that are apterous. That means that they do not have wings. And the Zygentoma, along with the Archaeognatha, are ancestrally apterous, meaning their ancestors did not have wings either. So like I've mentioned before, there are some insects that do not have wings, right? You're right. Some insects do not have wings, like lice and fleas. But the key there is that their ancestors are thought to have had wings, and the extant species, meaning the species that are living today, have since lost those wings. So these two basal groups, Zygentoma and Archaeognatha are unique in that they have never had wings that we know of. So that's another really key characteristic, is that silverfish never have wings. So you know that if you find a winged insect, it's definitely not a silverfish. So how about ametaboly? I just mentioned that a second ago. Ametaboly means to be without a metamorphosis. So these insects do not metamorphosize. So if you think about caterpillar or a beetle or things like that, they go through a metamorphosis, whereas the ametabolous insects, the Zygentoma and the Archaeognatha, do not go through a significant metamorphosis. So ametabolous just means that they are born out of their eggs as nymphs or immatures, and then they go through a series of molts, eventually reaching adulthood. The only key difference between those stages is sexual maturity. So once they molt into adulthood, now they are sexually mature. So how about the life history of Zygentoma a little bit? Zygentoma are detritivores, meaning they are important for nutrient cycling, breaking down of decaying matter, decaying plant matter, decaying fungus, and they're really important for the nitrogen cycling in our environment. So where can you find Zygentoma? Well, the answer is there are currently about 550 species described, and you can find them really all over the world. Obviously not in Antarctica, but but yeah, they're quite hardy. You will often find them in urban environments. So maybe in an old building, they really like the dust. Again, detritivores. So they like, dusty, musty kind of places. And so like an old building or an old bathroom or a basement, they really like dark places as well. All of those things. Some of them like dark places so much they live exclusively in the dark and have lost their eyes. Some silverfish don't even have eyes at all. So to tell you about how hardy these insects can be, I want to talk about a family called Mandroniidae, which is very cool, and they live in a very, very harsh environment. So Mandroniidae is a very small family of silverfish and, only a handful or so of species. But I want to talk about them because they are really cool, and there are some that inhabit a desert in Chile called the Atacama Desert. I totally butchered that name. But this desert in Chile is actually one of the most dry and harsh environments on the planet. I know it might be a little surprising because you think of Chile as being, a tropical country in South America, so lots of rainfall. But if you remember, Chile is a very long country, right? So it goes down the entire coast of South America. And so you get a large variety of different biomes in that area. Biomes, Minecraft reference. And so this Atacama Desert is actually one of the most dry and harsh areas on this planet. And so a lot of the animals and plants have clever ways to get their water elsewhere. So these silverfish are one of the few insects that actually live there. They're long and skinny, which makes them absorb water from the air better, a larger surface area. These silverfish, and actually a lot of silverfish in general, have a very low metabolic rate. And so they actually burn and use energy very, very slowly. And so the combination of those two traits allows these silverfish to survive in this very, very harsh desert. So I just mentioned that low metabolic rate. That's kind of a universal thing across most silverfish. So most of Zygentoma actually live quite long. They develop very slowly, and individuals can live several years, which is quite surprising when compared to most other insects. So you want to find some silverfish. Where do you collect them? That's a great question. So like I said, old buildings, but the way you would find them in the wild is the same as the last insects I was talking about with the Burlacey funnel. So yes, they do like urban environments. They like old houses. They like buildings, but their natural environment would be in leaf litter and in the soil. So Burlacey funnels would be great, but also silverfish are large enough to just kind of spot on your own. So you can just rake through the leaf litter and kind of just find them and catch them with your naked eye because they're fairly large, pretty flashy. Like I said, they're pretty metallic usually, so you can find them pretty well. And then with these insects, the way you would curate them and preserve them is put them in ethanol because they're ametabolous. So it's kind of just a technique that we use to preserve them. They're a little softer bodied, so you should preserve them in ethanol in a little vial. Hey guys, Spring Break Braden here. Guess who forgot to record an outro and now is 2,300 miles away from his studio? Yep, that's me. So yeah, you guys just get to listen to my allergy-ridden voice right now. But anyways, I just wanted to thank you guys for watching this video and giving all the support for this series so far. It's been really fun. If you enjoyed this video, please comment. Let me know if I forgot anything or maybe your favorite part or if you learned something. Leave a like, subscribe. I will see you all next week. But until then, keep on bugging. See ya.